Welcome to datascience.show, the podcast where data science meets executive leadership. We talk with top AI and analytics thought leaders about turning data into real business impact. If you're a C-level leader or data expert shaping the future, you're in the right place.
I'm your host, Mirko Peters. We explore how data science and AI drive real business impact, straight from the leaders making it happen. Today, from proofs to production, the executive playbook for model ownership. If your teams ship impressive prototypes that never translate into ongoing business value, this episode is for you. We'll map the decisions, responsibilities, and governance steps that actually move models from experiments into reliable outcomes for customers and shareholders. Why this matters now. Enterprises are spending more on AI than ever, but too often the spend looks like a funnel. Ideas in, promising models out, and then value evaporates at the handoff to operations. The cost is not just wasted budget, it's missed revenue, eroded trust, and stalled transformation. Over the next 20 minutes, I'll walk a pragmatic, executive-level playbook that answers two questions. Who should own the outcome, and what governance must be in place so models actually deliver measurable business impact? Before we dive in, I want to summarize the perspective I'll be drawing on. A composite senior leader profile built from multiple chief data officers I've worked with. Think of a CDO running data and analytics across a $5 to $20 billion organization, overseeing a centralized data platform, a federation of analytics teams, and a product engineering function that ships customer-facing services. This leader has owned dozens of model rollouts, some successful, many instructive. Their lessons are what we'll unpack. A quick note from that perspective. Success rarely comes from a single hero model. It comes from clarity on who is accountable when a model impacts customers or revenue, and from simple, repeatable operating rules that the organization can follow. Let's start with the central thesis. Ownership equals outcomes. If nobody in the executive team is explicitly accountable for the post-deployment business result, the model becomes an orphan. Ownership has three practical components: decision rights for production, funding for lifecycle operations, and accountability for measured business outcomes. That means the executive owner must be defined before the pilot, not after it succeeds in a lab.
So, who should own what? I recommend a simple split. Business owners own the outcome and the KPIs tied to revenue or customer impact. Technology owners, the CDO or CTO, depending on structure, own model reliability, deployment standards, and the operational guardrails. Finance and legal support lifecycle funding and risk controls. Put another way, the business signs for value, data platforms sign for trust and uptime, and governance signs for risk tolerances.
In practice, we codified this with the responsibility matrix. Business owners approved model objectives and ROI thresholds. CDO owned the MLOps pipeline, monitoring, and runbooks, and a governance committee reviewed high-risk use cases. That clarity removed a lot of finger-pointing when models behaved unexpectedly. Next, aligning incentives. If rewards only recognize accuracy in a sandbox, teams will optimize for experimental metrics, not production value. Tie incentives to operational KPIs, sustained lift over a control, reduction in manual work, improved throughput, or retention improvements attributed to the model. Make at least part of performance reviews and budget decisions contingent on those real-world metrics. Simple change, big behavioral effect. Now the technical playbook. Two pragmatic deployment paths. Path 1, Enterprise MLOps platform for models that must scale, be auditable, and require continuous retraining. Path 2, lightweight deployment for narrow pilots, API wrappers, staging gateways, and manual runbooks. Choose based on risk, scale, and regulatory exposure. The trap is standardizing on an MLOps gold-plated solution for every pilot. That slows learning and wastes capital. We used a decision checklist: expected traffic and latency needs, sensitivity of decisions, regulatory or reputational risk, and maintenance cost. If two of those were high, we invested in MLOps. Otherwise, we deployed lightweight and measured the signal for 3 business cycles before deciding. That pragmatic gating saved time and clarified when to invest. Monitoring and lifecycle finance are often ignored until something breaks. Operational KPIs matter. Data drift, prediction distribution shift, model latency, error budgets, and, critically, business lift compared against a control group. Translate these into SLOs with clear alerting thresholds and automated rollback criteria. Have an explicit budget line for model maintenance, retraining, data labeling, and incident response. Treat models like products with recurring costs, not one-off projects.
Runbooks are not optional theater. Every model must have a short, executable runbook. How to validate inputs, how to pause traffic, rollback criteria tied to SLOs, communication templates for stakeholders, and post-incident review steps. Keep runbooks one page where possible. Clarity beats completeness in crisis. Let's talk trade-offs. Automation reduces human error, but can remove human judgment when edge cases matter. Fully automated pipelines work for low-risk scoring tasks. Human in the loop remains important where fairness, compliance, or complex exceptions are common. Define those boundaries early. Similarly, vendor solutions accelerate deployment, but can create long-term lock-in. Evaluate vendors by governance fit and exit clauses, not just speed.
One candid lesson. Vendors can solve a point problem quickly, but the long tail of integration, logging standards, monitoring, access controls fell on our teams. Budget for that tail from day one. And when you pilot with a vendor, negotiate for observability hooks and data portability up front.
Now a brief executive operating model. A RACI-style cadence where the business is responsible for outcomes. CDO/CTO is accountable for production reliability. Data engineering is consulted for platform changes. And legal/compliance is informed on risk posture. Report to the board using operational metrics tied to P&L impact. Avoid vanity stats like number of models trained. Frame ROI as recurring benefit minus lifecycle cost. Hiring versus upskilling. Prioritize building a small core of production-grade ML engineers and platform leads, and upskill domain teams to own outcome measurement. This creates leverage. A lean platform team enables many domain teams to ship with guardrails. For budget cadence, move from project-based funding to product funding for models that make ongoing contributions. That aligns incentives for maintenance.
Looking ahead 12 to 24 months, invest in resilient monitoring, version data catalogs, and an evolving governance playbook that scales. Expect more regulatory scrutiny and prepare with audit trails, decision logging, and clear human accountability. Prioritize data contracts between producers and consumers to reduce brittleness as models scale.
My recommendation for leaders, prioritize 3 moves in the next 30-90 days. First, name the outcome owner for 3 strategic pilots. Second, implement minimal SLOs and a 1-page runbook for each pilot. Third, adjust funding to cover lifecycle costs for pilots that meet signal thresholds. These are low friction but materially increase the odds of sustained value.
2 final actionable takeaways. 1. Explicitly assign outcome ownership before a pilot starts. Tie a measurable business KPI to executive accountability. 2. Operationalize a single monitoring SLO and a 1-page runbook for every model deployed. Those steps create disproportionate clarity and reduce downstream risk. Final reflection: building models is a technical challenge, deployment is an operational challenge, and sustained value is an organizational challenge. Align responsibility, fund the lifecycle, and measure outcomes the way the business measures success. That's the difference between models and value. If you found this episode valuable, subscribe and share it with your network. And let's connect on LinkedIn. I'm Mirko Peters. We'll be back with more conversations on how data science and AI create real business impact. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to datascience.show. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with your network, and join us next time as we explore how data science drives smarter decisions and better business outcomes.